Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story about a man who finds out his girlfriend has been cheating on him with her ex. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. My girlfriend 27 and I 29 started dating a few months after the COVID-19 pandemic. She was the quintessential girlfriend, beautiful, kind, and loving. This was evident in the way she went all out to make my last birthday a remarkable one for me. It was my first birthday with her, and it made me wish she had been around for my previous birthdays. Exactly 3 weeks after that day, she told me she was going to sleep over at her friend's place. It was strange because her friend was at our house the previous day and they talked at length. Anyway, she left and I was lonely, so I called her friend's husband, who was my best friend. The couple were my friends, and when my girlfriend met them, she took to them. I told them to come over for a guy's night as his wife and my girlfriend were having their sleepover. He told me there was no sleepover and that his wife was right there with him. I asked him if he had seen my girlfriend, and he said no. I didn't believe him until his wife took the phone. She told me they had no plans for a sleepover and she had no idea where my wife was. I was confused. I begged them to come over, and they did. I was going crazy, my girlfriend told me before she left. My best friend's wife said she suspected my girlfriend was cheating on me, that she had suddenly become distant. She told me their friendship was hanging on a thin thread. Her husband suggested we track through her phone to find out if she's truly cheating, and I agreed. They left after agreeing to keep our meeting a secret. The next morning, she returned home. I asked her how the sleepover went, and she cooked up lies about the inexistent fun time she had with her friend. At that moment, I realized she was truly cheating on me, but I kept quiet. I continued watching her movement, and I discovered the hotel and restaurant she frequented. I made a reservation on the same day she fixed an outing with an imaginary friend. Shortly after she left, my friend, his wife, and I drove down there. It was a small, cozy restaurant. We found her there with a guy. They were all over each other without propriety. My friend's wife told us the guy was my girlfriend's ex who had suddenly broken up with her and left like he never existed. I was infuriated that she had cheated on me with a guy like him. My friends waited in the booth while I walked up to them. My girlfriend was shocked to see me. She asked what I was doing there, and I asked her if she was cheating with me. I wanted to hear it from her. She started yelling at me and ended up having all of us walked out by the restaurant staff. We had a crazy confrontation where I tried to know why she cheated. She told me she never loved me and that she used me for company, that now her love was back, so she had to leave. I've been in shock and pain. When I remember I had dreams of being with her forever, I shudder. It hasn't been easy with her smell lingering in my house. Her friend, although upset with her, has eased my misery a bit by picking up all her belongings from my house. Right now, I'm working on moving on and wouldn't mind getting tips on how to accelerate the process. I can't wait to get over all these completely. Update. I saw her today, 5 crazy months after that gruesome confrontation. She looked like a shadow of herself, and surprisingly, she was pregnant. She told me it was her ex's. For a minute, I dreaded it was me, but she explained it was for the guy she cheated on me with. He had disappeared like before and she couldn't reach him. I gave her a perfunctory condolence, but she wouldn't let me go. She told me she needed me, and I resisted the urge to gag. She pleaded that she was pregnant and needed love and care, and only I could offer those. That she finally realized and loved me. I told her that was a poor attempt at manipulation. I told her she had used me once and that would never repeat itself, and I proudly walked out on her. She was crying and begging, and I relished the sound of it. I'm sorry it turned out the person you gave your heart to was just using you, OP. I'm glad you've been able to move on from her and leave her in the past where she belongs. She should have ended things with you when she realized the love of her life was back in town. Maybe then the thought of you helping her or being her friend wouldn't repulse you so much. But instead, she ruined everything she had with you for a guy that disappears. It's sad that she's gonna have a child for a man like him, but I have to say she brought this all on herself. Story 2. I, 26 male, am just not sure what to do from here. I'm still fairly shaken, but I'm mostly just numb right now from learning about all of this. My girlfriend, 24, and I have been together for almost 5 years. And we were so many of each other's firsts. We were each other's first real sex partners, first real long-term relationship, first time moving in together with a significant other. We've had our ups and downs, but we both felt really happy and confident in our relationship. We're both very loving and affectionate people by nature, and to find that in another person meant a lot to both of us. She's proven on so many occasions to be a thoughtful and caring partner for me, even when I may not have necessarily deserved it. I don't think I would have grown and accomplished as much as I have if it weren't for the love, affection, and support that she's afforded me. On many occasions, she said she wants to be with only me. Always, and I truly could have seen myself spending a lifetime with her. This was up until about 2 years ago. We had both been drinking heavily one night, and I started putting on moves towards her, which in turn led to us having intoxicated sex. But the next morning, she expressed that she didn't really enjoy the sex and felt that I took advantage of her. The gravity of her side of the story from the previous night definitely resonated with me, and I can totally see how this was a morally gray area as far as consent goes. Since I never got any explicit signs from her that she wasn't into having sex, I understand, of course, that's no excuse, and I regret not seeking more explicit consent during our drunken states. It was a long and difficult conversation that morning, but she insisted on staying together with me and working to forgive me for what I did. I committed to working to undo the damage and strain I put on the relationship, and sought to regularly check in on her in regards to how she felt about the trauma and as to what I can do to help. To this day, I feel truly blessed that she found it in her heart to forgive me, and I know it was more than what I deserved. Enter Michael, 27 male, who my girlfriend knew as my longtime buddy from school. He was somebody that I bonded with over our frustrations with our shared program, and held similar tastes in music and video games. A little awkward and inexperienced when it came to sex, not that I was ever much better than he was, but had definitely messed around a bit with girls before I met him. I always felt that perhaps he was a bit picky when it came to his taste in women, and I knew that my girlfriend was not particularly his type, so I never had any reason to feel like I couldn't trust him and my girlfriend to be alone together. About 8 months ago, the three of us started having semi-regular movie nights and sleepovers. Perhaps I shouldn't have entertained the idea of these get-togethers, but we had good times and it was honestly quite wholesome. I mean, what's wrong with my girlfriend getting along with my friends, right? I didn't see anything wrong with our hangouts at the time, but I guess hindsight is 50-50. Eventually, they started getting closer together and apparently talked to each other without me knowing about their respective traumas. Apparently, he had endured severe childhood sexual abuse, which he had never told me about in all our years of knowing each other. Around Christmas, my girlfriend and I had a big blowout fight, which was one of the very few that we've had in our entire relationship. As a result of the argument, she made me promise to be kinder and more thoughtful towards her over the next few months. Right around this time, my lease on my student house ended, so she invited me to move in with her into her mom's basement, which gave me her blessing to do so, just while we both finished our last semester of school. Moving in goes smoothly and we settle into a routine of studying, chores, and hanging out when we do get the chance. We still have our sleepovers with Michael every so often, and all is fine and dandy. I tend to go to sleep fairly early, so I would often be the first to pass out. I knew, however, that my girlfriend tends to go to sleep early too, so I presumed that she and Michael would fall asleep not long after me. Over this time, I made extra effort to show my appreciation for her, getting several books for her and taking her out to a nice restaurant for Valentine's Day. About 3 weeks ago, I was doing some cleaning around our space while my girlfriend was upstairs watching TV with her family. She had left her phone on the bed, and just as I passed by it, I felt an urge to pick it up and go through her messages. We've always had an open phone policy with each other, as we trusted each other deeply, and at least I believed that we had nothing to hide from each other. I had never opened her phone before without her being present and giving me her express permission before, but I felt I had to follow my gut instinct. As I started scrolling through the messages between Michael and her, what I found shocked me, and part of me still wishes now that I hadn't done so. Little did I know that between finishing my exams and doing my Christmas shopping, that she and Michael had met up, kissed, and fooled around a bit. Over the next month or so, they would continue to send more and more sexually explicit messages to each other, culminating in her expressing her desire to take his virginity. Reading more messages, I learned that they managed to do so at a sleepover we had not long before Valentine's Day, waiting until I had fallen asleep before having sex on the floor beside the bed. I guess they must have been super sneaky. I don't understand how they did so without me waking up or noticing them. I feel like such an idiot. They apparently repeated this process several times during the sleepovers we had over the next month, before she sent him a message sometime towards the middle of March, chewing him out for having grown distant and cold to her, and accusing him of using her for sex. Oh, the irony. He agreed that his feelings for her weren't as strong as they used to be, and that their relationship should come to an end. They messaged each other a handful more times afterwards, but on a much more platonic level. I took a couple screenshots of this last exchange and sent them to myself to have some evidence in case it became relevant. Before leaving, I confronted my girlfriend with the information I learned. I told her how disgusted I was to learn about how she slept with Michael behind my back so many times, how she shared nudes with him, how she told him she loved him, how good it felt to have him inside her. She immediately expressed her remorse and regret for doing so and for hiding her actions from me, explaining that she and Michael had bonded over their sexual traumas and had started seeing him because she felt that somebody could finally relate to the pain she had experienced. While I could somewhat understand her logic and how her unresolved pain could have caused her to seek refuge in Michael's company, I pressed her further on why she hadn't been forthcoming about her relations with him. She pointed out that since she forgave me for assaulting her while drunk and that she knows I would never hurt her that way again, that I should forgive her in turn for cheating on me and that I can trust her to not do so again. I don't claim to know what it's like to be raped or sexually assaulted, so maybe I should be lenient towards her in this case. However, I feel like the argument of, "I slept with your best friend because it was an unhealthy reaction towards how you hurt me," is still pretty suspect logic for cheating on one's partner, given the circumstances. I stayed with Will for the week until I had finished my first and toughest exam, and have since moved back in with my parents for the meantime, while I start job hunting and evaluating my options with this relationship. I'm truly grateful to Will and to my parents for giving me the space necessary while I wrestle with my decisions. She and I have kept in touch since then, with her expressing how much she misses me and wants to make amends. She's been sending me very loving and apologetic messages and nudes, while I try to keep her at arm's length and express my sadness and frustration with the whole situation. Everybody I've talked to has advised me to break up with her. I just don't know what the limits of forgiveness are. I'm so sick of being numb all the time. I feel occasional flashes of anger, grief, sadness, or disgust towards the situation, but nothing registers higher than lukewarm in terms of intensity. It was horrible to lose what were basically two of my best friends in the world at the same time. I know this has been a long read, so if you do get to this point, I'm truly grateful for it. Any advice you may have is greatly appreciated. Thank you for reading. I'll be happy to answer questions or provide further details to the best of my ability. You need to stop feeling guilty about all this, OP. The fact that your girlfriend has happily and successfully dumped all the faults on you should be alarming to you. She had sex with a friend of yours while you were next to them sleeping, and then she went on to have a relationship with him months after that. She sounds very manipulative and dangerous if you ask me. You sound like such a good person, and it would suck to see you take her back when she doesn't deserve it. She cheated on you. How is that your fault? She argues that it happened because of what happened between you two, but that makes no sense. Leave her, please, OP. She's been gaslighting and manipulating you. You don't need someone like that in your life.